Fewer homes at higher prices means more people are further away from the American dream. Now, according to the National Association of Realtors, there were only 245,000 affordable homes available for households earning $75,000 to $100,000 in December. That's less than half the number on the market 2 years earlier. The group says the middle class and Black Americans are the hardest hit. But Akron is one of 4 Ohio cities in the top 10 of the nation's most affordable housing markets for Black households. Now, it's not just market conditions that are making things difficult.
New development and construction projects all over Cleveland mean our community will look very different in the next few years. But despite the cranes in the sky, smaller projects in specific parts of town are having problems getting the financing they need to fix up old buildings or build new ones.
News 5's Kevin Barry continues our in-depth coverage on the house challenges, and he shows us how modern builders are overcoming redlining and disinvestment that started generations ago.
Reviving homes like this mid-1800s apartment building on East 25th Street takes a lot of vision for investors like Mike English.
So little kitchen over here, and it'll wrap around the wall here.
But that vision eventually needs to be paid for, and old buildings rarely make for cheap projects.
We got into it knowing that we might find things that would add up. We had a estimate of our budget, and we were way short.
Normally, it wouldn't be a problem. Mike has gotten construction loans before to finish other renovations, but these projects weren't on Cleveland's east side.
Our appraiser just told us he could not find other values close enough to our property that justified giving us a higher appraisal. And it's hard to argue with that.
Since the appraisal was too low, Mike couldn't get a big enough loan to cover the project's ballooning budget. The reason it wasn't high enough is at least partially because of generations of disinvestment and redlining.
It's a cold reality.
Developer Sheila Wright has been fighting back against these historical wrongs that have created blighted properties or vacant lots. She's about to build Allen Estates, eventually bringing 237 new homes to the middle of the Huff neighborhood, split between single-family houses, mixed-use buildings, and townhomes. Appraisals for that project were also too low to justify the size of the construction loan she needed, which threatens to drive up the price of the homes, defeating the purpose of the project.
We want our buyers walking in with equity. We want folks that look like me to be able to capitalize off of all this investment.
Both Sheila and Mike hope their projects put more value into their neighborhoods that appraisers can find, making it easier for developers down the line to do the big projects to lift these communities up. Until then, though, it's an uphill battle.
That is the reality. This is about communities that have suffered disinvestment. But this is a new day for Cleveland.
Community groups and the city have helped in the past with what's been called gap financing, money that helps close the gap between a low appraisal and what's needed to cover construction cost, or for homeowners to buy a home. Councilmember Stephanie House says these efforts haven't been big enough.
People talk about the history of like redlining, right? Like it's just some oral history project. We are still consistently dealing with the ramifications of redlining.
That's why she's trying to get bigger chunks of money in the city's budget dedicated to sparking reinvestment in places that don't already have tall cranes hard at work. She's also hoping to make sure the city's money sits in banks that are willing to help.
These national banks are able to leverage the dollars that we give them week in and week out, but our folks can't get any benefit from that? That's not right.
Cleveland is a city of neighborhoods. It's also a tale of two cities.
But Jeremy Taylor at the St. Clair Superior Development Corporation says there's already proof that some of those efforts can help. He bought his house with grant money intended to make homeownership on the east side more affordable.
We've got the assets, we've got the people, and we've got the place. I see it as a deck is stacked in our favor because we have so much more room to grow.
Sheila's dream is to use that space to create an east side and Huff neighborhood like the one that used to be here, a thriving and dense community with all different kinds of people living very close to each other. Today's low appraisal issues might be tied to history, but so are the good memories about what used to be here.
We want to create the community that we grew up listening to our grandparents talk about.
In Cleveland, I'm Kevin Barry, News 5.
All right, thanks for that, Kevin. And the appraisal industry has also been criticized for not having enough appraisers of color and valuing properties at lower rates when they know that the owner is not white.
The Appraisal Institute tells News 5 bias has no place in appraisal and that it's committed to educating existing appraisers across the country, advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the future. Okay, you can see the Appraisal Institute's full statement on our News 5 app, our website too, news5cleveland.com.